Outside it's snowing. It's snowing out there. These are my art books. There's our dog Rudy. There's our stereo. So yeah, I've been decided to make a video since I got nothing else to do. So yeah, I can get this camera to work. It's lopsided, I don't know why. So yeah, so today is February the 10th. It's 12:08. It's snowing outside. Today is a Wednesday afternoon and I'm sitting here reading. I got this book in the mail yesterday. Although, of course, you end up becoming yourself, A Road Trip with David Foster Wallace by David Limsky. So I've been reading that. Been reading his biography, Every Love Story is a Ghost Story, The Life of David Foster Wallace by D.T. Max. I'm still reading Infinite Jest. I'm on page 128 in my February 2016 diary. Something I wanted to read from my diary about reading Infinite Jest, because I haven't given a review. I'm not really good at book reviews, but I did write something about reading Infinite Jest yesterday in my diary, and I thought I would read it. And what it is somebody, I was thinking the question is, why read Infinite Jest? Now, I've watched on the YouTube reviews of Infinite Jest, and I've read tons of reviews on the internet about the novel Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. But you still have to, I ask myself, why read it? It's like 1,074 pages. Why invest all your time reading Infinite Jest? I mean, why should I? I mean, I'm a Christian. So why should even a Christian read Infinite Jest? Because, I mean, how's that going to help you with your walk with God, for example? Or how's that going to help you spiritually cope with this insane, crazy world? So why should we invest so much time in such reading a book like that, or any book that's postmodern, doesn't have any narrative? I mean, why do that? And so I this is what I wrote in my diary yesterday. I wrote, I keep thinking inside my head what I would say in a video about the novel Infinite Jest. Why read this massive novel, over 900 pages? I've asked myself as a Christian, why read this novel? Why spend a lot of time reading such a massive novel? Now, I have read other novels that were extremely long. I have read many postmodern novels. I have one right here, I'll show you, for example. This is a postmodern novel that I started reading last year. I didn't get that far in it, but this is by William T. Voldman. The Dying Grass, a novel of the Nez Perce War by William T. Voldman. William T. Voldman is one of my favorite writers. I have all of his books, all his writings. But just look at that thing. It's massive. Look at the print. Why read something like this? So you have to ask yourself, why read a book like that? Well, then I wrote, like I said in my diary, why did I read such a long and complex novels when I could have been reading more easy to read or more where I'm at as a Christian? I think I read big books, novels, is because I enjoy the intellectual activity. Having my mind stimulated. See, you can read a novel for the story. Maybe it's a historical fiction. Maybe it's a Charles Dickens, or maybe it's some contemporary novel that has a plot and character development, and like I've been reading, for example, I've been reading Iris Murdoch. Now she is kind of experimental, but she does have a story, she does have characters. But why read something like this that doesn't really have... Now there are characters in Infinite Jest, and there is a story, but there's a lot of flashbacks, there's a lot of fragmentation. He goes all over the place. But so why read that? So as I said, have my mind stimulated. There are many kinds of literature. Each has its own pleasure to give to the reader. Poetry, nonfiction, biography, travel books, 19th century novels, realism. And then you have these postmodern novels. Now, I'm not an authority on postmodernism, but this is considered a postmodern novel. Voldman is considered a postmodernist writer, whatever that means. A novel like Infinite Jest takes you places in your mind that you would not go to if you read, for example, a novel by Charles Dickens. So in a certain way, you read a novel like Infinite Jest, just where it will take you mentally, the worlds, or how he presents the world, or what he observes and how he describes things. The novel Infinite Jest can be read on different levels. I could spend a lot of time exploring the novel. So that's one thing about Infinite Jest. I'm trying not to get into it like studying it. I'm trying to read it to enjoy it, intellectually, not just try to make it a puzzle or something to figure out. The themes of the novel, the structure, character development, the philosophical worldview of the novel. What is the novel Infinite Jest telling me about our modern American world? What is Infinite Jest telling the reader about the human condition? As a Christian, I approach the novel Infinite Jest with a Christian world and life view. I already have that established in my brain. So he's not going to convince me of another world and life view, the novel. But, there's one of the themes of this novel is loneliness. Well, I can identify with that. I can identify with loneliness. How he critiques culture, its fascination with TV, its fascination with the entertainment world, or TV, or he talks about drug addiction, drugs, youth culture, the internet, technology, and things like that. Those things as a Christian, I can think about, but I have my views and what I believe. So what I'm trying to say is that I read Infinite Jest. I do personally, just because I like one thing David Foster Wallace is known about is language. I love the way he uses words, how he describes things, his language, his mastery of words. That's why I like Voldman. That's why I like certain writers, their use of language, their use of words, how they describe things, their sentence structure, how they just the intellectual stimulation and pleasure of reading Infinite Jest. So I wanted to bring out, and one thing I wanted to bring is something I read in this book yesterday, The Road Trip with David. He said something as I was glancing through here about the book. He says, I'm not saying there is something sinister or horrible wrong with entertainment, David Foster Wallace says. I'm saying it's a continuum. And if the book's about anything, it's about the question of why am I watching so much shit? It's not about the shit, it's about me. Why am I doing it? And what is so American about what I'm doing? The only thing I knew for sure, I wanted to do something that wasn't just high comedy. I wanted to do something that was very, very much about America. And the things that ended up for me being most distinctly American right now, around the millennium, had to do with entertainment and about some kind of weird, addictive wanting to give yourself away to something. That I ended up thinking I was a kind of distorted religious impulse. And a lot of the AA stuff in the book was mostly an excuse, was to try to have its very hard to talk about people's relationship with any kind of God in any book than like Dostoevsky. I mean the culture. It's all wrong for now. You know, no, not possibly. Realistic characters don't sit around talking about this stuff, you know. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, it's like you read Infinite Jest and you're examining yourself. You know, it makes you take certain assumptions about American culture. You accept what's on TV to be reality, but is that really reality? So things like that, you can read Infinite Jest on different levels. But I would recommend, when you're reading Infinite Jest, to read the interviews on the YouTube and to look at the videos of interviews with David Foster Wallace on YouTube. They're very, that would help you really appreciate Infinite Jest. So that's what I'm reading, and like I said, it's snowing outside, and it's Wednesday afternoon, and life is going by. So that's all I gotta say. Bye.